Nova Scotia has shocked its citizens by announcing a strict forest ban. People are no longer allowed to enter the forests. Not for hiking, walking their dogs, or even camping. The government says it's because of wildfire risks due to dry conditions, but many are not convinced. What makes this ban so controversial is that while the public is kept out, the government quietly approved the spraying of glyphosate, a powerful herbicide, on over 500 acres of land. This has raised serious questions. Why is it too dangerous for people to walk in the forest, but safe enough to spray chemicals that destroy plant life from the inside out? Some believe the ban is less about safety and more about secrecy, keeping people away so no one sees what's really happening. Fines for entering the forest can go up to $25,000. Citizens are outraged. They feel their rights are being taken away in the name of protection. Critics argue that this is a test of obedience, to see how far the government can go before people push back. What's clear is this: Nova Scotia's forests are no longer just trees and trails. They've become a battleground for truth, freedom, and control. And for many, the fight is only just beginning. Fines for nature walks in Nova Scotia, simply walking through a forest, can now cost you up to $25,000. That's not a mistake. The government has enforced heavy penalties for anyone caught entering public lands. Trails, campsites, and even quiet wooded paths are off limits. The official reason: fire danger due to dry conditions. But while citizens are punished for walking a dog or going on a hike, large-scale glyphosate spraying is still allowed. This contradiction is hard to ignore. How can walking in the forest be considered dangerous while spraying chemicals that kill plant life is permitted? Critics say this isn't about fire safety, it's about control. By keeping people out, officials avoid public scrutiny. No one can record videos, take photos, or question what's being done to the land. Many feel this is an extreme step, one that punishes peaceful activities while hiding something deeper. Local residents and legal experts are calling the fines unjust, claiming they violate basic freedoms. They argue that criminalizing nature walks sends a chilling message: your access to the land can be taken at any time. The forests of Nova Scotia, once places of peace and freedom, are now guarded by fear and fines. And for many citizens, this feels less like protection and more like punishment. The glyphosate agenda: while Nova Scotia's government claims the forest ban is about wildfire safety, a deeper concern has emerged: glyphosate. At the same time citizens are being fined for stepping into nature, officials have approved spraying over 500 acres of forest with this powerful herbicide. Glyphosate isn't just a weed killer. It destroys all plant life by breaking down vital growth systems from the inside. Critics are now calling this the real reason behind the forest ban. With people banned from entering, there are no witnesses to the spraying, no cameras, no questions. This raises serious doubts about the government's intentions. Is this truly about protecting nature from fires, or about clearing land without public interference? Glyphosate is known to disrupt entire ecosystems, killing not just weeds but vital undergrowth, trees, and habitats. In drought conditions, spraying it makes things worse, not better. Dry, dead plants become fuel for wildfires, and the forest becomes more fragile, not less. Many believe the glyphosate agenda is about controlling the land under the disguise of safety. The forest ban, they say, isn't about preventing disaster, it's about creating silence. A silence that hides destruction. And if no one sees what's being done, who will stop it? The glyphosate agenda. Glyphosate, a name that keeps surfacing in Nova Scotia's growing controversy. As officials ban citizens from entering forests, they've quietly approved the spraying of glyphosate across 577 acres of land. This chemical is no ordinary herbicide. It works by entering plants through their leaves and stems, traveling deep into their system, and shutting down vital processes. In the end, it doesn't just kill weeds. It wipes out entire ecosystems. The troubling part: this is happening while the public is forced out. With trails closed and heavy fines in place, there's no one to witness the spraying, no eyes to question it. Critics call it strategic. Remove the people, spray in secret. It's being framed as forest management, but many believe it's environmental destruction under another name. Spraying glyphosate in drought-prone areas only adds to the fire risk. When healthy plants are killed, they turn into dry, flammable debris. Instead of protecting forests, this could make them more vulnerable. Environmentalists, scientists, and residents are asking why now. The glyphosate agenda raises a bigger question. Is this about protecting nature or reshaping it without consent? Because once the forests are changed, there's no going back. Killing forests quietly in Nova Scotia. The silence of the forests is no longer peaceful, it's strategic. With citizens banned from entering and facing massive fines, something far more damaging is happening behind the scenes: glyphosate spraying. This chemical doesn't just target weeds, it shuts down the life systems of all plants it touches, from root to leaf, turning once living forests into dead zones. Forests thrive on balance. Trees, undergrowth, moss, and soil all work together to support wildlife and maintain moisture. But glyphosate wipes out everything. It leaves behind dry, lifeless vegetation. In a region already suffering from drought and fire risk, killing off natural growth isn't just dangerous, it's reckless. And yet, it's happening in secret. The public is locked out, unable to see or stop what's being done to their land. No hikers, no cameras, no voices. By silencing the forest trails, the government silences potential resistance. This isn't just forest management, it's erasure. A slow, quiet killing of the ecosystem with no public oversight. Many believe this is part of a larger pattern: control the land, control the people. And as more forests fall quiet, the question grows louder. How much is being lost while no one is allowed to look? Silence as a weapon in Nova Scotia. Silence has become more than the absence of noise. It's a tool of control. By banning the public from forests, the government has created an environment where no one can witness what's truly happening. The forests are quiet, not because nature is at peace, but because people have been pushed out. And in that silence, glyphosate is being sprayed. Without hikers, campers, or photographers on the trails, there are no eyes to see helicopters or machines distributing chemicals. No videos, no questions. The silence hides the actions. Critics argue this is not just a fire safety measure, but a calculated move to eliminate public accountability. Silence is powerful when paired with fear. Threaten people with 25,000 fines and they stay home. Tell them it's for their safety, and most won't ask questions. But that quiet allows harmful decisions to move forward unnoticed. It lets destruction wear a mask of protection. Anonymous voices, legal experts, and local citizens are starting to speak out. They say that silence serves those in power, not the people. Because when no one is allowed to see, there is no one to resist. In Nova Scotia's forests, silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's the cover for something far more dangerous. Control, not safety. The government claims Nova Scotia's forest ban is about safety. But many believe it's really about control. Citizens are told the land is too dry, too dangerous, and that even walking a dog on a quiet trail could spark disaster. But if safety is the true goal, why are thousands of acres being sprayed with glyphosate, a chemical known to kill plant life and increase fire risk in dry conditions? This contradiction has led many to question the real purpose behind the restrictions. When people are banned from the forests, they can't see what's being done. They can't witness the spraying. They can't speak out. It's not protection, it's prevention of resistance, and that's what makes it about control. Government officials speak of fire danger, but at the same time, they approve a chemical that weakens the ecosystem. They remove public access but allow industrial activity. The message is clear: you don't get to question what happens on your land. Critics argue this isn't a temporary ban, it's a test. A test to see how much freedom people are willing to give up when fear is used as the reason. And if the public stays silent now, what new controls might come next? In the name of safety, the government has drawn a line. But for many Nova Scotians, it's a line that feels more like a cage. No witnesses allowed. Nova Scotia's sweeping forest ban does more than restrict movement. It removes witnesses. By barring the public from trails, campsites, and wooded areas, the government has effectively cleared the stage for actions they don't want observed. And just as the forests fall silent, glyphosate spraying begins across thousands of acres. With no hikers, nature lovers, or locals allowed in. No one can see the helicopters, no one can record the machines, and no one can raise questions. This absence of witnesses makes it easier to carry out controversial practices without scrutiny. Critics believe this is no coincidence. It's a strategy. The ban is being sold as fire prevention, but the timing is suspicious. Why block public access right before spraying begins? Why treat citizens as threats while giving chemical contractors a free pass? For many, the answer is clear: control the land, then control the story. By removing people from the land, officials remove resistance. No photos, no proof, just silence. In that silence, decisions are made that could damage ecosystems for generations. This is why voices are rising. Because when a government ensures there are no witnesses, it's rarely because they have nothing to hide. The public pushed out. In Nova Scotia, citizens are being pushed out of their own land. Trails, forests, and campsites, once open to all, are now under strict lockdown. The government says it's about wildfire prevention, yet people are starting to question that narrative. Why are ordinary families, hikers, and dog walkers treated as threats while toxic chemicals are being sprayed in secret? The forest ban doesn't just remove access, it removes rights. It turns nature into a forbidden zone. Families who once found peace in the woods are now threatened with 25 ZALOs and fines. There is no room for discussion, no space for exceptions. Everyone is locked out. This blanket ban has left many feeling like strangers in their own province. It's not just about physical exclusion, it's psychological. When the public is told they can't be trusted in nature, when their presence is treated as dangerous, a message is sent: the land no longer belongs to them. Meanwhile, companies authorized by the government move freely through these same forests, spraying glyphosate and reshaping the environment with no oversight. Critics say this is deliberate. Remove the public, and no one can resist. Pushing people out doesn't just change the forest. It changes the relationship between citizens and their land. And once that trust is broken, it's hard to rebuild. A toxic double standard. Nova Scotia's forest policy reveals a troubling double standard. On one hand, the government claims forests are too dry and dangerous for public use. On the other, it approves the spraying of glyphosate, a powerful chemical that kills plant life from root to leaf. Citizens are fined thousands just for walking a trail, yet large-scale chemical operations continue without pause. This contradiction is at the heart of growing public outrage. If the forest is so fragile, how can it withstand toxic spraying? Glyphosate doesn't just target weeds. It wipes out entire ecosystems. It removes undergrowth, weakens soil, and leaves behind dry, flammable debris. In dry conditions, that's not a safety measure. It's fuel for future fires. Yet, while hikers are banned, glyphosate gets a green light. Critics call it hypocrisy. They believe the real reason for the ban is not public safety, but to keep people from witnessing what's being done to the land. No visitors means no videos, no protests, no resistance. This toxic double standard shows how language can be twisted to serve power. Protection becomes control, safety becomes secrecy, and the forest, once a place of freedom, becomes a hidden battleground between truth and authority. One woman speaks out amid the growing silence in Nova Scotia's forests. One voice is refusing to stay quiet. A local resident named Stuart has stepped forward to challenge the sweeping forest ban. While she understands the risks of wildfires, Stuart believes the restrictions have gone too far. For her, banning citizens from walking their dogs or hiking on peaceful trails isn't safety. It's government overreach. Stuart's concerns go beyond personal inconvenience. She sees the forest ban as a violation of basic rights. It punishes innocent behavior while allowing the government to carry out controversial glyphosate spraying without witnesses. Stuart believes the ban was designed not just to protect the forest, but to control the narrative. Her courage has sparked a movement. Stuart has reached out to civil liberty groups, including the Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms and the Canadian Constitution Foundation. These groups are now reviewing the legality of the ban, with petitions circulating to have it rescinded. In a time when many are too afraid to speak up, Stuart stands as proof that one voice can challenge silence. Her message is clear: forests belong to the people, not the powerful, and when rights are quietly taken away, it only takes one person to light the spark of resistance. Rights vs. wildfire rules. The forest ban in Nova Scotia has sparked a major debate. Where should the line be drawn between public safety and personal freedom? The government insists the sweeping restrictions are necessary to reduce wildfire risk. But legal experts and citizens alike are asking, at what cost? Under the current rules, every form of activity in forested areas is banned, from hiking to fishing to simply walking a dog. Fines can reach up to 25,000. Supporters argue it's a preventive step during extreme drought, but critics say it's an overreach, a policy that punishes peaceful behavior while failing to address deeper risks like glyphosate spraying. Legal scholars warn that such broad restrictions may violate constitutional rights. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms guarantees mobility and access to public lands. Banning all access without clear justification, they argue, could provoke legal challenges. The government has the right to protect, but that protection must be balanced with freedom. As wildfires remain a threat, people agree that safety matters. But so does accountability. And when wildfire rules are used to restrict rights, while ignoring deeper environmental risks, citizens are right to push back and ask, is this really about safety, or is it about control? Legal groups take action. As Nova Scotia's forest ban sparks public outrage, legal groups are stepping in. Organizations like the Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms and the Canadian Constitution Foundation have begun reviewing the legality of the restrictions. They argue that banning all activity in public forests, without offering alternatives or clear scientific justification, may violate core rights under the Canadian Charter. These groups are not acting alone. Citizens led by voices like Stuart are joining the effort. Petitions are now circulating, calling for the immediate repeal of the forest ban. The goal is simple: hold the government accountable for decisions that affect both civil liberties and the environment. Legal experts warn that the current policy could face strong constitutional challenges. While governments can impose safety measures, they must also respect individual freedoms. A blanket ban with 25,000 fines, applied even to low-risk activities like walking or fishing, may not hold up in court. This growing legal pushback shows that people are not willing to stay silent. They want answers. They want transparency. And above all, they want to know that their rights won't be quietly erased in the name of safety. For many, this isn't just a legal fight. It's a fight for public trust. Ban may break the law. Legal scholars are raising red flags over Nova Scotia's sweeping forest ban, warning that it may be crossing constitutional lines. While the government claims the ban is necessary to prevent wildfires, critics argue that it goes too far, restricting basic freedoms protected by the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. At the center of the issue is the right to mobility and access to public land. The ban applies to every forested area, regardless of actual fire risk, and enforces heavy fines for even the most harmless activities like walking or hiking. According to Wayne Mai, Professor Emeritus of Constitutional Law at Dalhousie University, such broad and indiscriminate restrictions could trigger legal challenges. The Charter requires that government actions be reasonable and proportionate. A blanket ban that affects all citizens, including those who pose no threat, may not meet that standard. In particular, the ban's failure to consider low-risk uses or provide alternatives shows a lack of balance between public safety and personal freedom. Legal aid clinics have also noted that the ban affects vulnerable groups the most, especially people living in the forests without shelter. If these individuals are forced out without support, it could amount to further rights violations. This debate isn't just about rules. It's about whether a government can use fear to bypass the law. Hurting the homeless. Nova Scotia's forest ban isn't just affecting hikers and dog walkers. It's hitting the most vulnerable the hardest. Legal aid groups have raised serious concerns about how the restrictions are impacting homeless individuals who rely on forested areas for shelter. With no safe alternatives offered, these people are being pushed out into even more dangerous conditions. For many who sleep rough in wooded areas, forests are the last refuge. They offer some degree of protection, privacy, and peace. But now, under the new rules, even existing in these spaces is a punishable offense. Being caught in the woods can result in massive fines or forced removal, without any support or solutions provided. Critics say this amounts to cruelty disguised as safety. Instead of offering emergency housing or humane alternatives, the government has chosen to criminalize survival. Legal experts warn that this could breach sections of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, particularly those relating to human dignity and fair treatment. In the name of fire prevention, those with nowhere else to go are being treated like criminals. And with forests closed off and voices silenced, their suffering remains unseen. The ban, many argue, doesn't just ignore the vulnerable. It actively harms them. Nature needs protection. If the goal is to protect Nova Scotia's forests, many believe the current strategy is doing the opposite. Forests thrive on biodiversity. Trees, shrubs, moss, and wildlife all work together to create balance. But with glyphosate spraying approved and ecosystems being stripped away, that natural balance is being destroyed. Instead of protecting the land, officials are weakening it. Glyphosate doesn't just kill weeds, it kills everything it touches, including native plants that help retain soil moisture and provide food and shelter for animals. In drought conditions, these plants act as natural buffers against fire. Removing them makes the land drier, more fragile, and more flammable. Environmentalists are urging the government to rethink its approach. Rather than banning people and spraying chemicals, they recommend real protection, controlled burns, reforestation, and education on fire safety. These strategies strengthen the forest, not tear it down. Nature doesn't need to be shut off from people. It needs to be cared for with respect. True protection means listening to science, supporting healthy ecosystems, and involving the public, not excluding them. Right now, the path forward seems focused on control and chemicals. But if Nova Scotia truly wants to save its forests, it must begin by protecting what makes them alive. Spraying sparks more risk, while the forest ban in Nova Scotia is being enforced in the name of wildfire prevention. Experts warn that the government's glyphosate spraying may actually be increasing the fire risk. Glyphosate is a non-selective herbicide. It kills most plants it touches, including native undergrowth, shrubs, and young trees that help retain moisture and stabilize the ecosystem. Once sprayed, the vegetation dies off and becomes dry, brittle debris, exactly the kind of fuel that wildfires thrive on. Instead of preventing fires, critics argue this chemical treatment may leave forests more vulnerable than before. In drought-stricken areas, the last thing ecosystems need is to be weakened further. Ecologists have long cautioned that healthy forests are natural fire barriers. Dense, living vegetation helps trap humidity and slows down the spread of flames. When that growth is destroyed, fire can move more quickly and with greater intensity. So while citizens are banned from setting foot in the woods, massive spraying operations continue, unchecked and mostly unseen. The contradiction is dangerous. If safety is the true concern, then weakening forests with chemicals is not just irresponsible, it's reckless. Experts say it's time to stop treating nature like an enemy and start strengthening it instead. Because when spraying sparks more risk, it's clear the current plan is failing. Hidden plans exposed. As Nova Scotia's forest ban unfolds, more people are beginning to believe that something deeper is happening behind the scenes. What started as a fire safety measure now looks like a cover for something else. The secret spraying of glyphosate across thousands of acres. With the public locked out and silence enforced through heavy fines, a hidden plan has started to take shape. The ban has made it nearly impossible for citizens to witness what's being done to their forests. No hikers, no campers, no journalists. And right as this ban was enacted, glyphosate spraying was approved. This timing isn't just suspicious, it feels intentional. Critics believe the forest closures are meant to prevent resistance. Without eyes on the ground, there are no photos, no protests, and no way to challenge what's happening. Meanwhile, ecosystems are being altered and destroyed with no transparency. The more people dig, the more contradictions they find: bans for safety, chemicals that increase fire risk, and decisions made without public consultation. This has led many to conclude that the true agenda is not safety, but control and concealment. For those paying attention, the hidden plan is becoming clear. Remove the people, change the land, and do it all without question. But now the silence is breaking, and the truth is coming to light. Energy beam caught on film in a separate yet equally mysterious incident. An individual in Nova Scotia captured something shocking on camera: a sudden energy beam striking the ground from the sky.